Our next matchup takes us out to the beautiful state of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri at Memorial Stadium, where the Kansas Jayhawks come into town to take on the Mizzou Tigers. The beautiful rivalry of the border war. First time these two teams have played since 2012 when Missouri joined the SEC. So happy they brought this one back. I know Brad's excited about it too. Brad, when we look at this game up front, 3:30 kickoff on ESPN2, Missouri currently favored in this one by 6.5. My initial take, and I want to get yours too, but I'll just throw this out here. These are two completely different teams than what we witnessed last year and the year before. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on these two teams heading into this rivalry matchup.
Yeah, Nate, I want to start off by saying I am really, really liking what I've seen out of Kansas the first 2 weeks. I watched quite a bit of their game against Fresno State, and I was really, really impressed. They had a little bit of a down year last year. Some of that was due to Jalen Daniels and his health, but they have really, really impressed me. They obviously take a big step up in competition this week. But they are kind of, to me, a little bit of a Big 12 dark horse, excuse me. Just really, really like what I see. For Missouri, look, it's week one. They didn't play a great opponent. They still put up 60 points. So, that's obviously a big deal. Nate, I think a big storyline that I'm following, and I would love to hear, from some of our dedicated Missouri listeners, what everyone's thoughts is at quarterback. Beau Pribula, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. He looked good in his debut, the Penn State transfer, but they did have a plan to go in there with two quarterbacks, and you lose Sam Horn. I'm guessing for the year, if not for the year, it's going to be long term. So we saw them run Beau quite a bit. Does that change? Do you really, really look out for his health? Now, they do have a very, very, very talented true freshman, but I'm interested to see what Coach Drink and the Missouri offensive staff go. This is Nate, I'm excited. This is a fun one. I can remember mid-2000s when Missouri and Kansas were both, I believe, top 5 opponents, and they played in this one. Mark Mangino versus Gary Pinkel. It was a fun one, and it feels good to have this rivalry back. I'm really excited.
Yeah, no doubt about it. These are two teams that we love watching closely. Some of the most underrated teams in their own respect when it comes to conference play. Kansas has always gotten the short end of the stick, and outside of Missouri's run a couple years ago, and then obviously when they first joined the SEC, they really haven't done much spectacular. But when you look at these two teams, right? You talk about the quarterback play for Missouri. Well, I'll answer your question for the Missouri Tigers fans out there, and I could be wrong, but you got your guy now, right? There is no choice. This is your guy moving forward in Beau or Beau. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's either Beau or Beau. We'll get shredded again. That's okay. But you got your guy in transfer from Penn State. The run game looks decent. Look, these are two very balanced teams when it comes to run, pass, play. That's the difference in this one compared to some of the other matchups we've seen, right? Some of these teams are one-dimensional when it comes to their offensive play. But when I look at these two teams, they're very evenly matched when it comes to that. Who are, I don't know if this is the right way of wording it, but who are some guys that you're looking out for in this matchup to make a name for themselves?
Nate, I think a big thing that stands out to me, especially when I look at Kansas, they are just really, really balanced running the football. And we're only 2 games in the season, but I'm looking at the stats. 5 guys with at least 50 yards. So a very, very balanced attack. Hishaw stands out, Williams, Thompson, and then Nate, we've seen it when Jalen Daniels is healthy. He is one of the most dynamic playmakers in the country. On the other side, we've talked about Beau Pribula. Once again, I'm sure we may get some hate in the comments for that saying that last name, but he showed he is a very dynamic runner. And Nate, I remember last year Penn State had some packages for him in the run game, so that's going to be critical. Nate, I'm going to share an X factor before I turn it back over to you for Kansas. Emmanuel Henderson Jr. This is a guy that was very, very highly rated. He went to Alabama. didn't quite live up to his huge rating, but he's had a good start for Kansas this year. 9 catches, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's got a long of 62 on the year. If he is able to test that Missouri secondary and keep them honest, that is going to open up some run lanes for Jalen Daniels, for Highshaw. That's a big storyline. I don't know that Jalen Daniels has had a target like him, and that to me says that Kansas has got the ability to be more balanced. That is a really, really big storyline, and I think a player that the Missouri defense is going to have to account for on Saturday.
Yeah, Brad. I like to look at the interior, right? I know I say this a lot. It's one in the trenches, and especially in a game like this, you call it the border war. The border is the offense and defensive line, right? I mean, I know it's kind of cliche to say, but that's what I'm looking at. The best matchup that I'm excited for this Saturday is the center versus D tackle, right? When you look at the center for Kansas, Bryce Foster, a very experienced center up front to lead that offensive line, 6'5", 310 pounds, redshirt senior. And then you look at the other side of the ball, defensive tackle Chris McClellan, 6'4", 323 pounds. He's going to look to get that push up front, especially when it comes to Kansas's run game, because you're going to try to force Jalen Daniels to make plays on the run. He hasn't been necessarily the most accurate guy on the run. I think that's what Missouri's defense looks to do in this game. That's the matchup I look forward to seeing, because a lot of people get caught with the candy of wide receiver, cornerback matchups, and that's great. Like, I do too. But watching a center versus D tackle, man, those are two guys to look out for, in my opinion, when you look at this matchup. I'm curious to see how Missouri's offense looks, because, like you said, they've got some question marks at quarterback. You know, Rooster will often say, well, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. And I think there is some truth to that, right? If you're looking to start 2 quarterbacks, I don't care if it's college, NFL, high school, maybe high school, but college and NFL especially, Brad, I think you and I would both agree, in the long run, it never works, because you don't know who the clear leader is. You don't know where you're moving forward strategically, goal-oriented as an offense. So I'm curious to see how the quarterback play plays out for the Missouri Tigers. I think you look at them to lean more so on Roberts in the run game in this one. Thoughts on that, Brad?
I think it's a fair point, and you said it very, very well a couple of minutes ago that, look, the quarterback battle has been decided. Unfortunately, it was by injury, but Beau is your guy now. If you're a Missouri fan, if you're obviously a part of that Missouri team, Beau's your guy. And I think one of the things that always stands out to me about Drinkwitz is he is very, very good at playing to his offensive strengths. Nate, I still think this is a good offense. I still think it's a dynamic offense. I'm excited to watch him throw the ball. I mean, he threw for 283 yards. I know it was against a much, much lesser opponent, but I think there were some question marks about how does Missouri replace Luther Burden, and they seem, they're obviously going to be tested Saturday, but seem to have some legitimate weapons. So it's going to be a very, very intriguing battle. I'm really, really curious to see how he looks when he's tested and going to have to drop back and make some plays with his arm. I think that's a very, very big storyline in this one.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Brad. It is going to be a huge storyline. I also just want to make the point too. You said it was like against lesser competition, right? But when you look at a score like 61-6, I believe is what they won by last week. That's what you expect good teams to do, right? If they had come out there and won like 35-7 or 24-0, I'd be more concerned. The fact that they went out there and put up numbers, that's what you expect good football teams to do against inferior competition. So I think Missouri does have the edge coming into this game, and the Jayhawks have more to prove, right? Jalen Daniels has been in the system for a few years now. Yes, he's had injury, but this is his moment, right? Like, we've talked about him having preseason Heisman chatter in the past. Where is that at? That's what I need to see this week. Is he going to step up? Because even though this is Missouri and it's not a top 20 team, this is his Heisman moment, right? This is the game where he has to step out and make a name for himself if he wants a chance to get the Jayhawks to that Big 12 championship run. And with that being said, Brad, I'll turn it over to you. Who do you have coming out on top in this border war rivalry between the Jayhawks and the Tigers?
Look, I said it. I really, really like Kansas. I really like what they've done this year. I've been very, very impressed with them in their 2 games. Ultimately, though, I am going to take Missouri. I think they've just got a few more weapons. I think they're going to be better up front on both sides of the ball, and ultimately, I think that's where the difference is. I think we're going to look. I think we're going to look at this game on Saturday. It's going to be a very, very close game going into the fourth quarter. I just think Missouri just has a little bit more juice. I think they just have a little bit more in the tank. One thing we've seen Jalen Daniels at times make some costly mistakes. I think he could have one on Saturday, and that leads to a Missouri win.
Yeah, Brad, you bring up a lot of great points when you look at these two teams. I agree with you. I think Missouri has the edge up front on both sides of the ball. If Kansas is to win this game, Jalen Daniels is going to have the game of his life. That's just the reality. He's going to have to play lights out. And when I've seen him so far this season, yeah, he's had flashes of being really good, but it's against a Fresno State team who is trying to rehabilitate their program, right? Obviously, Matt Entz is a great coach. They lose their quarterback in Mikey Keene. There's a lot of turnover at that program. You would expect Kansas to make valuable production in that game against a team like Fresno State, who's a little injured or wounded, so to speak. But coming into this game, Missouri obviously the heavy favorite, and I'm going to stick with the Missouri Tigers in this one. Give me Mizzou to cover the spread. I can't remember what the over-under is in this one. I believe it's around 51 is what it is. I think it hits the over, and I think Missouri comes out and has a big game. And I think the run game is the difference. I think Missouri steps it up in the run game, and I think they come out on top in this one. So give me the Missouri Tigers at home in week 2 to cover the spread and to beat the Kansas Jayhawks. It's a step back for Kansas, but it's not the end of the season. This is SEC competition. You would hope Missouri comes out on top in this one, but give me the Missouri Tigers to cover the spread. Missouri fans, Kansas fans, let us know down in the comments what you think about this matchup rivalry. The border war comes back to college football. First time since 2012. Going to be a great matchup regardless. Both teams are going to come out swinging. Be sure to subscribe down below. Give this video a like. Share with your friends and turn on the bell notification so you can stay up to date. We post our latest content. What's up, Break the Huddle fans? Be sure to tune in this Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for our Break the Huddle After Dark episode. You see the helmets in front of me. The Louisville Cardinals take on the James Madison Dukes, and we'll be here to break it all down for you live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll see you then. It's time to Break the Huddle.